Welcome back. Another episode of the Nothing Near Post Show here, and we've got tournament time. Jumping in here before this episode starts, it's with anger and frustration that I say this, but me and Coach Bulkin recorded, and we had some audio difficulties. I was unable to grab the audio from Coach Bulkin's side, so after 2 hours of recording, all we got was my dumbass talking and reacting to Coach Bulkin. So some good information that I was able to pull. Obviously going to miss out on all of Coach Bulkin's insights, but I'm going to grab a few clips and pull together this episode because we did go over every single game from this weekend. So not our best episode, but wanted to get out some of the information that we covered in the 8 games. But sorry to Coach Bulkin. We'll catch you for the Elite 8 next week. But without further ado, here's a lot of the information that we talked about this week. Obviously on the mic here, you got Silbs. Let's jump right into it. I mean, first line drills, Coach Bulkin. I'm gonna go into my line drills. Spring cleaning can't happen this weekend. We've got 8 games, all in different time slots. 4 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. I actually got my spring cleaning out of the way last weekend. The fiance was on my ass about going through the winter clothes, putting those away. Pulling out the spring clothes, but as a male, we don't put clothes away and bring out other ones. So I just had to, shuffle some things around. This weekend, not for spring cleaning. I don't know what you had going on. If there's any spring cleaning going on with the Bulkin household, but this weekend ain't for that. I love it. The other thing, the fiance was coming. She this is how you know she's a keeper, right? So Sunday we got to hit the grocery store, usually a pretty good day for a grocery run. She's like, hey, we got to go to the grocery store, is there any more lacrosse on today? And it was Sunday at about 4:00, and I was like, actually babe, we're all done. We're done with lacrosse for today until 9:30. We're good. I would love to go shopping with you. So that's how you know you found a keeper for sure. Yeah, no. Coach Gleason had them buzzing for sure. The Saints put up a fight. I mean, I threw out the picture. I was watching that game as well. My dude in the stands double fisting in one hand. I didn't know you could double fist in one hand, but this man found a way to do it. He had the high noon superseding what looked to be a Busch Light of some kind. Just incredible stuff from the Upstate crew. And last thing with line drills, I want to shout out the Section 1 Somers Tuskers. Coach Hirsch and the Tuskers have cracked the national top 25 for public schools. So wanted to give those fellas a shout out. So you got anything else to cover here in line drills? All right, so this episode, we're obviously going to cover everything NCAA tournament. We're going to go game by game. We've got all 8. We've got a lot of research on some, a little bit on others, but we've got as much of an opinion as you could look for here when listening to a podcast. So we'll jump into all 8 games. But before we jump in, Coach Bulkin, I want to hear your hottest take going into the weekend. And if you want me to start, I will. But I'm curious what your hottest take is going into NCAA. Do we call this first round, or is this like opening round? I love it. My hot take going into the weekend, 2 ACC teams are going to lose this weekend. And to spice it up further, one of those ACC teams that loses will not be from Chapel Hill. So I don't know which side we're going to be on. I know I think it'll be an interesting conversation. We dive into that game here first on Saturday at noon. But that's my hot take going into the weekend. And one last piece before we jump into the games here. Okay. Being 2 Upstate guys that we got to mention this. Head coaches in the field, all right, representing Upstate. All right. I'm just going to go down the list here. So we had 18 teams get in, right? 18 teams. You've got Dan Chamati from West Jenny coaching at Richmond. Jeff Tambroni from West Jenny coaching at Penn State. You've got Matt Carwick from Penn Yan coaching at Colgate. You got Sean Nadalin from Rush Henrietta coaching at Towson. Bill Wilson. I don't know him well enough, but I'm sure his friends call him Billy, from West Jenny, coaching at Air Force. And you've got John, the month of May, Tillman from Corning East, obviously coaching at Maryland. And one side note on Coach Tills before I get to the last guy. Did you know that Tills, when he graduated from Corning East, he went to Colgate as a goalie, moved to defensive midfielder, and then transferred to Cornell? There you go. There's your Trivial Pursuit lacrosse fact right there. And fun fact, Trivial Pursuit was invented by a Colgate grad. So the world has a funny way of working like that. Last Upstate guy coaching in the tournament, unfortunately no longer, but he earned his trip with his RMU Colonels. Colonels? Yeah, Colonels. Craig McDonald, Geneva High School, the Colonials. The Colonials, excuse me. Colonials. Craig McDonald, Geneva High Panthers, head coach at Robert Morris University. So, not a math guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 18 head coaches have roots in upstate New York. And not just roots, grew up there, learned the game there, played the game there, built the foundation to what their lacrosse journey was going to be in upstate. So had to be mentioned. And I know we've got a bunch of assistant coaches too from upstate. I don't know if you want to shout any of those guys out. The pride of Auburn, New York. Coach Latz, the pride of Auburn, New York, by way of UNC star back in the day. Who else? Oh, yes, the Baldwinsville Bee, baby, your boy. The other assistants that we wanted to shout out from upstate that Coach Bolkin went through right there that got cut out. The Baldwinsville Bee we were referencing was Paul Richards down at Richmond. You've also got Paolo Safari coaching at Cornell. You've got Coach Vossler, Andrew Vossler, out at Ohio State. And, of course, we already mentioned Coach Latz. So, ton of upstate representation, both at the head coaching and assistant coaching positions. You love to see it. I love it. Yeah, looking at the rest of them, yeah, Hutch at Harvard is a Baltimore guy. I don't know where Jim Mitchell and Hirsch are from at Princeton, and I don't know where Grossi. Grossi's got to be a Philly guy. Yeah, Grossi's definitely a Philly guy. Now that I say that out loud, yeah, that feels right. But I mean, unbelievable upstate representation. Obviously, 7 head coaches out of the 18 is awesome. The Vossler call out. You can't forget about Voss out there in Columbus now, and I think that's just. I mean, there are obviously some Long Island representation with Danowski. You've got Warren. You've obviously got Wellner as an assistant at Jerry Byrne. So there's obviously some Long Island representation, but upstate certainly takes the cake. So as a couple upstate boys, we obviously had to mention that. Now, jumping into the games, we'll go one by one. All right, we'll do a deep dive into all of them, or as deep as we feel like we got to go, or until I run out of margarita, and then we'll move on here. So, first game of the weekend, Saturday, noon. Okay, get your workout in early, get your breakfast made, make the bed, do the laundry, whatever the better half wants you to do, because 12 o'clock Saturday might be one of the most interesting games of the weekend. You've got Richmond versus North Carolina in Chapel Hill, okay, at Anson Dorrance Stadium. Richmond 13-3, North Carolina 10-4. Vegas has North Carolina as 1.5 goal favorites. The over/under set at 23. Personally, I'm calling this the Resume Bowl. All right, and here at Nothing Near Post, we don't talk about other people's jobs, but, all right. Coach Chamati is looking to continue to build his resume for a certain ACC coaching job for when it becomes available. Okay, not saying anything about him leaving. We are not. We don't talk about other people's jobs here. But he wants to continue to build his resume so that he is ready for that next big job that comes up. And for those that don't know, and this is just a fact, not talking about any jobs, Coach Chamati's a Duke grad. I'm just saying. you should probably give him a ring. Uh, I mean, also, I'm also calling it the Resume Bowl because there's two North Carolina assistants who were previous head coaches who've I gotta believe are looking to rebuild their resumes a little bit because something happened that ultimately led them to Chapel Hill as assistants. Um, that and I'll call a spade a spade. You got Coach Petramala who didn't have the success in Syracuse, New York that everyone expected him to, and you had John Thompson who ran into a really sticky situation up in Amherst, Massachusetts. So you've got two dudes with head coaching experience who have both been uber successful as head coaches at the highest level of the game who want to continue to put good results out there so when the time comes they've got a resume that can get them a job. But and that's why I'm calling it the Resume Bowl. But I digress. All right. If you can get Coach Thompson to unbutton the top button, there is a side of him. All right, there is a side of him. I personally had the privilege of coaching in the NESCAC against him, working some camps with him that weren't good to great. He wouldn't invite the Bowdoin guys to good to great. Obviously, he wanted to keep all the good recruits to himself. So being a good recruiter there, but you get him around Coach Lasagna, who he played for at Brown, and Coach Thompson he's a great dude, man. He's a great dude. He's got another side to him, but I agree. Super detail oriented, super buttoned up. Clearly understands what it takes to win. Understands the details matter. The only knock that I'll put on him is sometimes that detail oriented nature can lead to a sense of being a little bit robotic, especially on the offensive end. You need a little free flow in this game. This is a creator's game. You got a free flow. And if I had any knock on Coach Thompson, and I've got the utmost respect for him, so take this for what it is. That's the only knock that I would put out there as far as being able to free flow into the game a little bit. And to be honest with you, I think he's done a great job of letting go of the reins a little bit with Petro and Duffy this year. He's letting those guys cook and finding a good rhythm. Um, no doubt. No doubt. But to get into the game, Richmond coming off the A10 championship over High Point 16-10. They actually had incredible in the A10. Four teams get in, so they had a semi and a final. They had a total goal differential of plus 16 in their two tournament games that they played. So clearly dominated that conference. UNC's coming off a loss to Duke 14-7 as the 2 seed in the ACC semis. And I've already used this phrase, call a spade, but Richmond is everyone's dark horse, and I think we're going to get into that because I think Coach Bolkin's on that train. If we break this down by the numbers, or we're not going to sort of spit them at you, but both teams right around 13 for goals per game. Both teams under 10 in goals against per game. Richmond at 7.75, UNC at 9. I'll tell you what, that UNC number at 9 is impressive in the ACC. Richmond at 7.75, incredible no matter what. Both teams hovering right around 30% shot percentage. Both 51, 52 save percentage, face-off percentage. Okay, and I want to kick this to Coach Bolkin for this one. Face-off percentage. Richmond's coming in at 49.4%, where North Carolina's coming in at 63.7%. I think this is going to be a huge piece, and I think this is where I'm actually going to hang my hat as far as why Richmond actually might not be able to pull off this upset. But what are you seeing in that face-off position between this matchup? And I obviously you were mentioning the Abby Wambach of the U.S. Women's National Team. What's the relationship? Nephew. Love it. Yeah, I mean I'm looking at that Wambach, Pittsford, New York. Shout out Upstate. And then played for another Upstate guy at the Salisbury School, Tommy Spinella, New Hartford. 63.7% at the dot this year, whereas the Richmond Spiders as a crew, as a unit, are 49.4. But when I was diving into this, the Jared Chenoy, obviously you've got a ton of respect for him. He missed 2 games in the middle of the year. I think he was injured in the Bonnies game, didn't play against Hobart and UMass or something like that. He didn't play 2 games and then came back and he was dominant for 3 straight games. Okay, he took 32 draws. He only lost 6 in 3 straight games to end the year prior to the A10 championship. But then he had trouble against High Point. As I mean, you mentioned he scored a juice goal for sure, but he went 11 for 21. Him himself, he's 58.7% on the year. Now, as a unit, they're 49. What I say, 49.4. So it'll be. I'll be really interested. Do they give him the lion's share? Like, what's Richmond thinking? Sort of going at it with a three-headed monster, and is that something you think that they're going to try to throw at Brady Wambach? Totally, totally. Yeah, and I mean, to look at other parts of this matchup, the other one that's glaring to me is Richmond. Surprisingly, is only 26% on the extra man, where North Carolina is 41.2%. That's a significant difference. Right now, I don't have the numbers right in front of me as far as how many times Richmond fouls, if they foul a lot or not, but North Carolina's extra man unit is going to be a bear. And if everyone thinks that Richmond can pull this off, they can't find themselves in the box all that often on Saturday at noon. But I think the other piece too, both of these teams actually, which we'll talk about because I'm a riding and clearing guy, but both of these teams clear the ball really well, and they actually both ride it decent, not great. Okay, both teams are riding at about 19%, UNC at about 20%, Richmond at 19, but Richmond clearing the ball at 91.7%. Classic Coach Chamati, attention to detail, buttoned up, hit your reads, make your passes, put it where it needs to go, take your time. And then UNC, I think, just finds ways athletically to get it out, a little bit of a punt return style, but also just a ton of really great sticks. And that also starts with Gianfrancaro and net having a great stick, being able to throw a nice little outlet and get you out quick. So those matchups are going to be interesting. Now, the last piece that is glaring in the difference here for me, Richmond has 183 caused turnovers on the year. North Carolina has 110. I find that really interesting because Coach Richards is like a fundamental defense, slide recover when we have to. Yeah, like nothing flashy, stick in front, head of the stick to gloves, but they found a way to get 183 caused turnovers. I'm not quite sure where that came from. From watching them, it doesn't really jump off the page. I mean, you've got the giant lefty and Mitchell Dunham from Hamilton, Ontario, who actually leads the A10 in caused turnovers per game at 2.31. Giant dude, 6'5", 220. I would not want to see him with a short stick coming out the back door in the box because you can't run away from him. But clearly they find ways to create turnovers. But I also think it's because they're great off the carpet. All those defensemen that they've got, Dunham, Hunter Smith, Jack Pilling, Tommy Stull, all have great sticks. So they find ways to put the ball on the ground and then get it up. So really an interesting matchup, but kind of curious your thoughts. I know from the jump you said that the Spiders were a sleeper pick here. So give me a rundown. Sure. And before you move on, that goes back to my John Thompson thing a little bit. And if I'm John Thompson and I've got Owen Duffy and Don Petramala, to be honest with you, I want to let the boys cook. I want to let those guys play. Spencer Wertheim, like we've got dudes all over the field, right? You know, exactly. Like we got guys that can make plays, but I'm actually watching games late in the year, really good teams, Princeton included, like, and they're just sitting in a 3-3 and the ball's just kind of moving around the edge, and you need something. Okay, you need something. But and maybe you could go a few ways, right? Like, okay, I got the best guys. Move the ball, boys. Let it have some fun. Here's your principles. Hit the pipes. And sometimes they don't even hit the freaking pipes, and they don't get the defense collapsed, and then you're SOL. But at some point, you've got to get the defense moving, and maybe that's John Thompson letting the guys cook and letting his reins go a little bit. And he wants to, maybe he's got something up his sleeve here late in the game where he can get a little bit more structure in there. Hey, run this set action to get us into that 3-3 action, so that we can get something out of it. But I know that Coach Thompson is thinking about that extra man unit, making sure, because in a tight game, you need the special teams to be great. So that's a great call out by you for sure. Really. I mean, the only thing I'll say is they got both Cornell and Duke at home. At home. No doubt. Robins Stadium, and Maryland was a 5 goal loss in College Park. And again, to be honest with you, Coach Bolgan, I was right there with you. When the brackets came out, I was like, Richmond's going to win. Richmond's going to the Elite Eight. They're going to find a way. But the face-off discrepancy is scary because every possession is just heightened at this time of year. So, breaking it down to the individuals, I mean, this game is going to be awesome to watch both attack units go to work. Okay, obviously the known commodities for North Carolina, Petramala and Duffy. Petro is, excuse me, Mr. Petramala is number one in the ACC in goals per game at 3.23. He's number one in the ACC in shots per game. Like, he's got 48 points. And talk about unbalanced, or talk about a guy who's got a nose for the goal. 45 goals, 3 assists. Oh man, and then you got Duffy, who, to be honest with you, a ton of hype, and he's lived up to it. Okay, sixth in the ACC in goals per game, third in the ACC in assists per game, third in points per game, fourth in shots per game, and at 56 points at a balanced, unlike his counterpart, 31 and 25 stat line. All right, now, just like you had mentioned about their EMO unit, he's gone cold comparatively in his last 4 as well. All right. He's only put up 2 and 7 in his last 4 games. Okay. 2 goals, 7 assists for Owen Duffy at North Carolina. And those games were twice against Duke, one against Cuse, one against Notre Dame. Which Owen Duffy are we going to get? Right. And I know he was banged up. Right. Hopefully he finds a way to get healthy, because we want him to. We want to see the best, right? This is the time of year that you want to see your best, and I hope for the young man that he's ready to go. You know, Petramala is going to be sweeping to his left hand, finding ways to get shots from that Ovechkin corner right there. But then on the Richmond side too, you've got Aiden O'Neill and Lucas Littlejohn. Aiden O'Neill is your stereotypical old school ex-attackman quarterback style. I love his game. He's not going to shake you or break you down, but he's going to find ways to make Richmond better, and I think it's awesome. Not going to blow you away as far as A10 rankings, but Richmond goes as he goes. And what's crazy, and for the X's and O's nerds out there, watch it close enough. Anytime Aiden O'Neill decides to drive above GLE, you'll watch Richmond offensively, the other 5 players know to clear the entire side. I don't know if you've noticed this, if you've watched any Richmond, but if he drives, and he's as two-handed as they get, he'll drive up either side. And coaches, you talk about getting to 5-5, 7-7, whatever it is. Aiden O'Neill gets to like 10-5. And then he's basically rolling back, and he's got a short alley dodge. Because he's so two-handed, he can pull it tight right from his ear, put it in the low corner. So keep an eye on them clearing out the side for him. I gotta believe Paul Barton guards Aiden O'Neill at X for North Carolina. And then you got the Littlejohn attackman inside for Richmond, who is just catch and score. 2.25 goals per game, third in the A10. He can catch and finish with the best of them. And the last guy I'll mention before I kick it back over to you is Max Merklinger. I love this kid's story. I tried recruiting him back when I was in the game, but he was a late recruit. Classic Coach Chamati picking him up late. Coming off a knee injury at Seton Hall Prep. He was wearing a clunky knee brace his junior summer. And he's got a high IQ. He's clearly healthy now. And he is a staple in that midfield. My question will be, how effective can he be against an ACC type LSM? But he's proven it, right? Against Cornell and against Duke, he found ways to be effective. So I don't know. That's where my eyes goes. I don't know about yourself. 100% depth is everything. Depth is everything. I mean, we didn't even talk about the goalies in this matchup. You got Zach Vigu out of Apex, North Carolina for the Richmond Spiders. You got Michael Giafacaro for North Carolina. Two solid goaltenders. I think Gianfranco probably wanted to have a better year than he's having, given his history at Princeton. But two good goaltenders. I think the better one will win. Right, the guy who plays better is going to win the game because it's going to be such a tight matchup because what Richmond brings to the table and what North Carolina does. So my matchups to watch: Petro and Duffy versus Coach Richards in the Richmond defense, right? And let's call the Richmond defense out by name because I think those guys deserve it. You got Mitchell Dunham again, Hunter Smith, Jack Pilling, and Tommy Stull. Tommy Stull, by the way, of Niantic, Connecticut, the beautiful town of Connecticut on the coast of the Long Island Sound. I mean, is it still the Long Island Sound if you're looking at it from Connecticut? I think so. Yeah, let's keep it. Let's keep it. Stick to sports. All right. Stick to sports. Shut up and dribble. All right. But yeah, Vigu and Gianfranco will be a cool matchup. I love seeing goaltenders from non-traditional areas. Vigu being that guy from Apex, North Carolina. But hey, man, we can be meat shields sometimes. Sometimes that's all you need. Play good angles and just be big. I mean, I'm surprised this isn't top of mind for you, and I know we already touched on it, so we don't have to dive into it. But Wambach versus Chinoy is going to be a matchup to watch. What does that matchup kind of look like? So totally, totally. And I mean, if we go back to the spread, would we say North Carolina 1.5 over under 23? Um, I think UNC wins if Wambach has a day, and Duffy and Petro, excuse me, Mr. Petramala don't no show. Like I think if they show up and play to their capabilities, even if Duffy's a little banged up, I hope he's gotten to be a little bit more healthy. Maybe not, but I think if Wambach has a day and Duffy and Petro are able to show up, and to be honest with you, your boy Spencer Wertheim, like he's going to have to step up and fill a little bit of that void that Duffy maybe not. Maybe Duffy garners a shit ton of attention, giving Wertheim a little bit more space to make an impact. Exactly, exactly. So that's my keys for North Carolina is Wambach, Jackson, Duffy, and Petro because I think everything else is kind of going to take care of itself. But predictions wise, I'm going to go out. I know we're going to be on two sides of this thing, which makes for great radio. I'm taking North Carolina 12-9. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right, moving into to the next game here. 2:30 Saturday, Princeton, New Jersey. What is it? Class of 1972 field. Towson Tigers visiting the Princeton Tigers. Okay. Vegas has got Princeton at -5.5 favorites. Over under set at 24. Towson 11-5 on the year. Princeton 12-3. We are about to see some Tiger on Tiger crime. Like we're, battling for territory in the Sahara. Or no, tigers live in the jungle, excuse me. Uh, Princeton in the Ivy League was 5-1. Princeton's coming off their loss to Cornell in the Ivy League title game. Towson 7-0 in CAA play, so they were regular season CAA champs as well as CAA conference champs, beating Hofstra and Drexel on the way to their second consecutive and 10th overall CAA title, with all 10 of those coming since 2003, which is crazy because that's just under 50% of the CAA titles belonging in Towson, Maryland. Um, Not bad at all. And you know who has a good freaking or huge part in that is Coach Nadalon. Coach Nadalon for the Towson Tigers, arguably the toughest SOB in the head coaching position in Division One lacrosse. Obviously, Upstate guy. I already touched on that. He's also a three-time MLL champ with the Bayhawks. He had a 10-year NLL career. And when he was coming off a knee injury, he led the U.S. national team to a gold medal in the 2010 World Games. This was 9 years after graduating from Johns Hopkins University. And in his prime, and potentially still today, he is the best noon hoops defender on the recruiting trail hoops circuit. Coach Nads is one of the best. And to be honest with you, both these head coaches are two of my favorites for different reasons. But On the other side of it, Coach Madelon, Roanoke legend, head coaching position open at Roanoke. Yeah, him and Pat March both for sure. Coach Madelon, shout out the ODAC real quick there. He does it his way, and he just brings this blue collar mentality to a white collar school. And they don't have a white collar program; it's a white collar school. And he just brings this. He brings this mentality that I think is really neat. And what I love about these two guys most is their teams share traits of their personalities. Like that that those two guys are the coaches for those two teams if you know those two guys. Totally. Now, Towson riding a 10-game winning streak coming into this one, but I hate to say it, and they're just overmatched. I think in this one personally, both teams averaging north of 12 goals per game. Both teams giving up not just north of 10 goals per game. Both teams right around 28% shooting percentage. Um, it's just Ivy League and the CAA are just different beasts, you know. I think the one big difference, and not that Princeton needs a big difference in this one, in my opinion, is in the goal for Princeton. The save percentage for Ryan Craddock with Princeton at 58.4% just eclipses what Towson's got going on in net, 46.2% save percentage there. That's going to be tough to overcome. On top of everything else that Princeton brings to the table, Princeton also extra man unit operating at 56.7%. I mean, you've got talent all over the field there with the Tigers, especially with that attack unit. And we'll get into it in Kabiri, Burns, and Mackesy. But that EMO unit ripping at 56.7% is insane. So I don't know. I think they're overmatched from lacrosse perspective, and the numbers actually don't show it as much as you'd think. Sure, sure. I mean, the McMeekin one is a head scratcher for me, man. I mean, I think a lot of people have seen the social media clips from him basically deadlifting a SUV in the Princeton weight room, but he clearly hasn't gotten the wins. But I mean, the Ivy League's got decent face-off guys. I mean, obviously the Cascadon kid at Cornell was the top of the pile this year, but he's got a great he's going up somebody good every week, right? And unless he's playing the dudes from Cambridge, but yeah, that's just a head scratcher for me, and that's a place where Towson has the upper hand, right? Can they grind this one out with being better there, and with the shot clock, it just makes it really hard. But we'll see. I mean, looking at individuals, starting at Towson, I mean, you can't talk about Towson without talking about Mikey Wiesar. Like 46 and 22 on the year. He leads the CAA in goals per game at 3.07 and at points per game at 4.53, and he's third in the league at an assist per game at 1.47. The dude found a way, right? He was on the main stage when they played Hopkins, and he showed out, and he just continued to dominate the CAA throughout, and it was awesome to see him kind of live up to that preseason hype and find himself in the NCAA tournament. And now he's going to find himself on the main stage again. You gotta believe Colin Mulshine's going to guard him, and that could arguably be the best dude that he sees all year. I'm sure Hopkins threw somebody good at him, but Mulshine is a great defenseman, so it'll be interesting to see what he's able to pull off there. And then you got redshirt freshman Ronan Fitzpatrick. All right, nice Jewish name there, Fitzpatrick. Redshirt freshman from Sayville, New York. He's third in the CAA in goals per game at 2.6. Like they got dudes that can score, and then defensively, Coach Nad style, you got Joe Petro. Okay, Joe Petro at 1.56 caused turnovers per game, good for second in the CAA. So Towson's bringing some dudes to the table. I just think that they're going to be overmatched by what Princeton can bring. But looking at the Princeton individuals, Colter Mackesy obviously is the highlight. Number 4 draft pick in the PLL collegiate draft, which won me some money. So thank you to the Cannons coaching staff and to Mr. Mackesy. That was a nice little under 4.5 draft pick. Bet win. He was 40-15 on the year, third in the Ivy League in goals per game. Like, he also, like Petro, what is it about left-handed attackmen that just fucking love to shoot the ball, right? He's first in the Ivy League in shots per game at 9.73, but we've already talked about it, right? Sharing that attack line with Mackesy is Kabiri and Burns, two super balanced players, right? And they actually might be the perfect complement to a guy like Mackesy, who's that volume dude who's going to fill it up. Kabiri was 26-25 on the year. Burns was 24-16. I'll be honest with you, Burns doesn't exactly look the part, but he gets it done. I don't know if it's the number 0, but he just gets it done. And then you got Palumbo, another lefty. Like, Princeton's got lefties coming out their ears. Palumbo, 21-15 from the midfield. But as good as they've been offensively, that unit with Coach Mitchell has actually been supported by their defense, in my opinion, right? We already talked about it. Starts with Ryan Craddock in net. First season as a Tigers starter, put up incredible numbers, okay? First in goals against average, which is a team, all of these are actually team numbers. The goalie's got to do his job, but first in goals against average at 10.3 in the Ivy League. First in save percentage at 58.6. And he is second in the Ivy League in saves per game at 14.6. You usually don't see that saves per game number second or first in the league when you see first in goals against and save percentage, because that usually just means less volume of shots. Yeah, you're giving up shots that need to be seen. So, I mean, I love these two teams just because of their head coaches. I'm huge fans, but the matchups to watch for me, I already mentioned it: Colin Molshine versus Mikey Weishauer. Excuse me, my German's a little off. That's my matchup to watch. I don't know if you've got one yourself. Totally. And keys to victory. I don't want to be disrespectful. Towson wins if Princeton, they go cold or they get a cold. Princeton wins if they show up and they play to their level. If Princeton wins if they show up and they play to their level that they showed in the first 3.5 quarters, first 3 quarters of the Ivy League championship game. They don't have to do anything outrageous. My prediction is Princeton Tigers 17-8. I love it. And what did we say the spread was? 5.5. I've already got a little cash on Princeton. I think I got them at 5, or maybe it was 5.5. But should be cool to see, and I think utmost respect for both those teams and both those head coaches. So it'll be a good one there in class of 1962 field. Next game, taking a trip down to Happy Valley. All right, taking a trip to Happy Valley. We've got the Colgate Raiders of Hamilton, New York, 10-7, visiting the Penn State Nittany Lions, 10-4. This is our 5 p.m. slot. Vegas has got Penn State at -4 favorites with an over-under at 25. Colgate's coming off their improbable run in the Patriot League tourney, having to play in the quarterfinals to beat Lehigh on the road, then travel to Army in West Point, who was the number 1 seed, upset them, put the world on its head a little bit when it came to NCAA tournament seeding, and then they beat Boston University in the title game in convincing fashion. Penn State coming off a 10-8 loss to the Terps in the Big Ten semis. Colgate is a pedestrian 4-4 in the Patriot League, and Penn State was 3-2 in the Big Ten. Before we dive into it, I know we looked a little bit at Coach Tills's background earlier. I thought this was neat. Matt Carwick, head coach of the Colgate Raiders, Penn Yan grad, also a Notre Dame grad, but he graduated from Notre Dame's College of Arts and Letters. Just a very interesting college there in South Bend, but thought that was interesting. Hell of a player back in his day, but yeah, the 10-man is just it's an equalizer in some ways, but here's the difference, right? Colgate made their run in the Patriot League tournament, but they had to play on Tuesday night after a Friday night game at Lehigh. Lehigh had to find a way to spin around and prepare for Colgate's unique style. And then you go Tuesday to Friday. Army didn't know who they were playing. Were they playing Lehigh? Were they playing Colgate? And then you got to prepare for this unique style in a short amount of time. And then definitely BU Friday to Sunday had to turn around and prepare for Colgate, even though they probably had the scouting report ready to go for Army, right? So it's this unique style that Colgate brings to the table, and on short rest, it can be difficult. Penn State has a full week plus to prepare. Okay, now they didn't know about Colgate until Sunday night, but still they've got a full week to prepare for this unique style. Now that's going to make sure that they're ready. But at the same time, are they focused too much on this unique style, not worried about themselves, and thinking too much about the 10 man and not sharpening the axe enough in their 6v6, their transition, their face-off wing play, their own riding game, whatever the case might be. So I think that's part of the 10 man is it sort of takes focus away from other parts of your game because you only got so many hours and so much focus time to be able to implement things throughout the week. So certainly something to keep an eye on. Numbers wise, Colgate's a hell of a riding team. They're turning teams back at 23%. So clearly the 10 man is effective. Coach Latz has found a way to implement that in Hamilton, New York, and do a really good job with it. Penn State's defense gives up a lot less goals. That's classic Big Ten, like you call it, hat on a hat, not sliding all that much. We'll talk a little bit more about how that might be different this week, but Colgate scores, man. They find ways to score. It's not your classic sort of lacrosse that you'd see in a textbook. It's just different, and they find ways to put the ball in the net because they got the two Connor brothers, and they've got the Favreau kid on the inside, lefty finisher, man, who's been awesome for them. So both teams operating really well, extra man and man down, actually. Colgate at 42%, Penn State at 43%. Both teams above 60%. Penn State almost kissing 70% man down kill percentage. So the one number that jumps out at me, and again, this is the 10 man, and this is just that hectic style, but Colgate has 190 caused turnovers on the year. I don't know if that's because they have 190 caused turnovers on the year or if because their SID is generous, but that's a hell of a number. Matchups to watch. Yeah, I mean, the Penn State defense, Will Costin, Kevin Parnham is probably the guy that you were thinking of, and Alex Ross. Kevin Parnham, New Jersey, leading edge. Shout out Chris Roy. But I agree with you. They're faceless, man. They just sit down. They play great defense. That's just what they do. I agree. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that PSU defense against the Connor brothers, and you shouted out one of them, but together they've got 164 combined points, which is just insanity. Both of them one of them's eclipsed 80 points already this year. The other one will eclipse it this weekend unless he gets blanked. I think he's at 79. So that's going to be a matchup to watch. And the other one, again, we've already beat it to death, but Colgate's 10 man versus Penn State. Those are the two things that I'm going to be really interested to see. I'm gonna take Colgate wins because I think this is a lot like Richmond, North Carolina, and does the Colgate magic run out this weekend potentially? But Colgate wins if the 10 man's effective. If they can play to the pace that they want to play, because Penn State doesn't want to play fast. They're capable of it because they got Matt Traynor playing at the point who can shoot the piss out of it. And they got Lehman at left-handed attack who's shifty and can make great reads in transition. But Big Ten's about control. It is Big Ten football. Line them up, have a fullback, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and punch it home, you know? I mean, let's be honest, right? A lot of people, we become products of our environment. And if you're seeing that type of control around the entire athletic department, and that's kind of the style, you're like, yeah, okay, it's working. I mean, we just won a national championship in football. Like, something about this control and sort of structure is good for us. So there's certainly something to it. And then I think the last piece, Colgate can win if the Connor brothers pull off some Manhasset magic, right? They can be sort of that Cinderella story a little bit with those two dudes, and I think it's Favreau. I don't want to call him by his wrong name again, but the inside kid for Colgate has been awesome. 44. The hell's his name? Favreau. Yeah, his off-ball action is awesome, and there's a clip from the Patriot League Championship game where he scores this awesome goal off of some pairs action, three-man rotation. That was just beautiful. So they're going to need those guys to really step up. But prediction time. Go ahead. What do you got? Wow. All right, I'm taking Penn State 14-10. What did we say Vegas had it at? 4. So we both got the Nittany Lions covering. And the piece about the 10-man turnovers isn't just extra possessions. They usually lead to some type of transition opportunity as well. Can you turn it into a goal? I think, I mean, if you're a young player, you're gonna watch Trainer in this one. You're gonna watch the Connor brothers. You're gonna watch Favreau. Like the Colgate skill is actually sneaky fun to watch, and they throw these short passes where they catch and finish. They can slip even like towards the crease, find a way to catch and finish. It's just fun to watch, and I think this one's going to be a good one. Obviously, a rematch from earlier in the year where Penn State beat them by 5, I believe. So, yeah, good one in Happy Valley. So, moving on. Georgetown at Duke in Durham to cap off our Saturday marathon of lacrosse, 7:30 face-off. Vegas has got the Blue Devils as 2.5 goal favorites. Over under set at 21.5. I'm going to go out on a limb and say hammer that under, which I already have. Duke is 2-2 in the ACC. Georgetown 4-1 in the ACC. 4-1 in the Big East. My apologies. Duke is coming off an ACC title game loss to Cuse 9-8, where they actually had a chance to tie it in the final seconds after, in my opinion, Cuse mismanaged their timeouts at the end of the game. I even take it back to the first timeout they took. They won the face-off. Sam English has it off the wing in the, I'll call it the lefty alley, goalie's right, with a short stick on him, with a ton of space, nobody in play, and Coach Gate calls timeout. And I mean, if you watch the broadcast, you see Coach O'Dearna freak out a little bit on Coach Gate. Like, why are you calling that right there? We got to milk a few more seconds out of that. And I totally agree with him. And it almost came back to bite him because those 2 extra seconds is all Duke needed to get a look on Cage. So certainly something that I think Coach Gate will take a peek at. Obviously, players make plays, and he was one of the best, and he trusts his guys. So he wanted to get them all squared away. But found a way to win 9-8 in that ACC championship game. Cuse found a way to win. Duke's coming off that loss. Georgetown coming off their 7th straight Big East title, beating Villanova in the title game 16-8 at Denver. But Georgetown's hot here late in the year. They ran through the Big East in the tournament. Can we talk quickly, though, about this neutral site tournament venue? I think the Big Ten, obviously a different beast a little bit, and maybe not. Maybe just Ann Arbor has more lacrosse than Denver, but I have a hard time believing that. But I felt like Denver Stadium, Peter Barton Stadium, was empty for the entire Big East tournament. And maybe I didn't get a good shot of the Ann Arbor crowd for the Big Ten games, but it just felt like there was nobody at those games, and that's a dangerous game to play in my head. But either way, Georgetown coming off a dominating, and I hate to say that because I love the Villanova Wildcats. Well, I love Coach Miller and the Villanova Wildcats, but 7th Big East title for the Georgetown Hoyas. I know we're talking geography a little bit with the coaching staff. You got 2 Long Island guys going at it, Coach Danowski and Coach Warren. Coach Warren's halftime spiel after their semifinal win on CBS Sports was electric. I don't know if that's on the internet anywhere, but that guy's a beauty. Coach Danowski, obviously one of the best to ever do it. These 2 teams built on defense. I don't understand how the over-under is at 21.5. But both of these teams built on defense. Duke in the ACC's got under a 10 goals against average per game. Georgetown under a 9 goals against average per game. Both teams scoring. Duke's at 12 flat. Georgetown's at 12.67 goals per game. Both teams actually shooting the ball really well. Both teams north of 30% shooting percentage. I think one of the big differences in this game is goaltending. Patrick Jamison for Duke has a good number at 51.4%, but I've seen him, if you get to him early, you can rattle him. You can rattle him really good. And Anderson Moore for Georgetown, the Georgia product, he's nasty. There's no other way to put it. He's good, and I think he's better than his 54% shows. But I think that's a big difference in this one. The other piece that's a big difference before I kick it to you, clearing wise, Duke has not cleared the ball well this year. They're at 83.5% clearing the rock. Georgetown's at 89.2. And if Duke in a low scoring game, Duke likes to play low scoring games. They score 12, they give up 9.5. In a low scoring game, if you don't clear the ball well, you're putting yourself at risk. Yeah, I think the big thing for me is Georgetown is so, and maybe this has changed late in the year, and I haven't broken it down by game, but Georgetown's EMO is like laughably underperforming. 22% extra man unit. 22% extra man unit. And that is just in a tight game. That's scary. You need to get something going on the extra man unit. But it, for me, both these teams just play. If you're a defensive dude, this is going to be the game of the weekend for you, in my opinion. Both defenses are stout. Both teams are built on great defense. I went out on a limb and had actually some big lacrosse media jump into my DMs after I tweeted this out. But the Ty Banks kid for Georgetown, defenseman, he's a first-team All-American. The kid is awesome. And may not be flashy, but he just gets it done. And 22 caused turnovers on the year, 38 ground balls. Like, he gets it done. And big lacrosse media doesn't agree with me, and that's okay. But both of these teams built on defense. For Duke, you're looking at Aiden McGuire he should be in the conversation. If we had a Norris Trophy in lacrosse, Aiden McGuire should be in the conversation. Like, he is a guy that is just locking dudes up. And I don't know if you saw this, and maybe the eye, like, didn't, you gotta know what you're looking at when it comes to this. But Aiden McGuire was a part of the double team on Owen Hiltz at the end of the Syracuse game that caused the turnover. And usually that's two long pulls. But Duke threw Aiden McGuire out there and said, hey, buddy, go cause a turnover. And he did. And that is just unbelievable stuff from a short stick D-Mitty. So, but I mean, Duke's defense, Charlie Johnson, highly touted recruit. You got Nicholas Mendez, and you've got Henry Bard down there. Like, and then you got the Matt Christmas kid at LSM. Like, everyone's playing great defense for Duke. And when you've got great short stick D-Middies, you're good. For Georgetown, the Ty Banks kid, Anderson Moore, the two headliners. I just think it's something where defensively they have been stout all year. Bo, yeah, right, with Coach Warren. Bo Kemmler, Jack Shoemaker, Brett Melee, Ty Banks, like they've got dudes that, or excuse me, sorry, I was just reading off the Villanova defenseman. Sorry, Seamus Foley, Ty Banks, okay, and Robert Plath at close D for Georgetown. Like, that under 9 is an awesome number for those guys. So this is gonna be a defensive battle. I will be shocked if it goes over 21 for a total, but that's just me, and probably the way that I am, it's probably gonna be like a 15-14 game, because Aiden Carroll finds a way to go off for Georgetown, right, and fill it up, and McAdory is uncoverable, right? Like there's gonna be something that happens. I don't know where your head's at with it. The one difference that Georgetown has seen as of late is the return of Lucas Dudemain. Dude Main. He's a dude. There's no doubt about it. It's in his last name. He's a dude. He's only played in the last four. I'd assume he's coming off an injury of some kind, but in the last four, he has gone for 5-4 out of the midfield. 4-0 against Marquette in the semifinals, and actually got blanked against Villanova, but that's just because Coach Miller's an absolute stud defensively for the Villanova Wildcats. But that guy as a lefty, a Toronto, Ontario native, like he can score at 6'2", 190. There's something that's starting to click with the Georgetown offense. You look at the schedule and they weren't scoring goals early, and then now all of a sudden they are, right? And he came back. I'm not saying he's the guy that did it, but clearly something changed. And maybe it was Big East play, but like the Big East usually plays pretty good defense, right? Like, I mean, after so Dudemain came back for the St. John's game on April 19th. Prior to the 3 games prior to St. John's, they played Providence, they won 14-13. They played Marquette, won 10-9 in double overtime, and they lost to Denver 7-3 at home. Like that, you can't have that happen. But then they go to St. John's, they win 21-8. They host Villanova, they win 17-9. Big East tournament play, they beat Marquette 19-8. And then in the championship game, they beat Villanova 16-8. Something has changed since Dudemain has come back. I mean, he obviously had the highlight goal, the lefty twister from the back to the backside skip. Something's changed with the Georgetown offense, right? Aiden Carroll was trying to do it all on his own. Fulton Bayman was trying to do it all on his own. Jack Ransom, I think he's a rookie, right? He had a great Big East tournament. There's something going on with those boys. They're gonna battle. They're built on defense. We're beating a dead horse here. I mean, the matchups to watch, I think just both offenses versus both defenses, in my opinion. Face-off wise, obviously that's your expertise. Both teams coming in above 50%. Yeah, I mean, Engelke runs the show for the Dukies, another New Jersey boy. Yeah, so keep an eye at the X there, especially in a tight game. Like, those possessions matter, right? Those possessions matter, and I mean, with both teams clearing under 90%, Duke significantly under 90%. Duke's at 83.5% clearing the rock. Like that, those possessions at the faceoff dot matter. The other matchup I'm watching is Georgetown's extra man against Duke's man down defense. Like if Georgetown gets an opportunity to go man up, they got to take advantage in a tight game. Have to. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but Georgetown wins if Anderson Moore makes 15 saves or more. That's what I'm going with. I think, like you said, Duke's got pieces on offense. I think if Anderson Moore can have a day, he gets 15. The rest of their defense is going to take care of itself. Georgetown can find a way to manufacture goals because they've been putting up goals recently. I think Georgetown wins if Anderson Moore has 15 or more. I'll tell you where I'm looking for secondary scoring for Duke, Jack Papendick. Jack Papendick has got to find a way, and he's capable, and I think he can. So that'll be a name that I'm watching on Sunday. But my prediction, I'm going Georgetown 10-9. Keep us at the under. Georgetown finds a way to upset the Duke Blue Devils. I felt like we rambled a little bit on that one, but moving on to the next one. There's a road outside Columbus, Ohio. For those of you that don't know, a little OAR to segue us into our next game. Okay, Notre Dame at Ohio State Sunday. We finally made it to Sunday. We're getting long in the tooth here. Sunday, 12 o'clock, first game, Columbus, Ohio. Vegas has got the visiting Notre Dame Irish as favorites by 1.5 goals. Over under set at 22. I'm taking the over. Notre Dame 8-4, Ohio State 14-2, Notre Dame 3-1 in the ACC, Ohio State 4-1 in the Big Ten, regular season and conference champions. It's an old school Great Western League, Great Western Lacrosse League matchup. Notre Dame this year has been, I mean, maybe just short of Jekyll and Hyde. It's hard to be Jekyll and Hyde when you play 3 less or 4 less games than literally everybody else, but still they've been up and down. Double up a Michigan team, but then lose to Syracuse, a conference foe. I can't quite figure him out. Obviously, the Jeffries kid, you pray that he can get healthy, but I've seen reports that he's already ruled out for Sunday. You hope the kid can get healthy. I hope he's okay, but Faison focusing on football. He's a football guy first now. You just follow the dollars, and that's okay. Kid's been good. All right, the kid's been good, but I mean, 8-3. He's got 11 points on the year, and everybody's talking about him like he's a world beater. Chris Kavanaugh, has he lived up to the hype? He obviously slid in the PLL draft last night on Wednesday. Like, Jake Taylor getting benched in the fourth quarter of the ACC tournament game. Coach Corrigan setting the tone. Love that. Like, that's not the Notre Dame way. Yeah, you don't want this matchup, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Buckeyes have got bigger ideas than first round and they're playing the ACC. Like, I think they've got bigger aspirations personally. As I love to tweet, BFGs rejoice, baby. Big freaking goalies rejoice. We love seeing big freaking goalies successful here on NNP. Big Tasty, I'll be honest with you, he has surprised me. He has surprised me. I love it. I love the big fella finding ways to get it done. Reads shooters well, gets down to his toes well, gets off hip well, stands tall on his pipes. He's not just a meat shield either. He's getting his top hand to a ton of things. So I'm stoked for him to certainly see the success that he's having. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't think this is a matchup that Ohio State deserves, but the matchup they got, and I think they're prepared for it, quite honestly. I think the Big Ten prepared them for it totally. I mean, looking at the numbers, both teams scoring right around 13 goals a game. Notre Dame is north of it, and Ohio State's just south of 13. Both teams right around 9 goals per game given up. Notre Dame at 9, Ohio State 8.75. Both teams shooting at 32%. I know, shout out Coach Childs at York. The shooting percentage is a big piece, so both teams shooting it pretty well. You got Big Tasty Caleb Fyock in net at 62%, like just an insane number. Riccardelli holding his own, 56.7% in the ACC is phenomenal. Pretty even in the clearing game. Face-off percentage, Notre Dame actually owns the advantage, which will be interesting. They're going to need it. Both teams pretty even in the extra man and the man down. Ohio State has got a lot more caused turnovers than the Notre Dame Irish do, but that's just a total number, and because Notre Dame played 4 less games, 12 versus 16. That's obviously going to happen. For me, I think Bobby Van Buren, and I tweeted this out, Bobby Van Buren's going to erase Chris Kavanaugh, which isn't just a 1-to-1, because that also erases Jake Taylor in a lot of instances. And I hope they don't put Cullen Brown. I hope Cullen Brown guards McLean, right? Like, put him on, or I mean, this is crazy, but double pull the midfield, right? Like, you got to pull on Faison and you got to pull on Angrick, right? Like, find other ways to disrupt these dudes. So, I don't know. That's kind of where my head goes, and we'll get into that when we're looking for. I mean, let's jump right into matchups to watch. Bobby Van Buren, Chris Kavanaugh. That's going to be a matchup to watch. We were just talking about the Haas kid. I mean, 27 and 16. That that's awesome. Like that's great. And to compare, we were talking about Petro earlier. What was he? 45 and 3. Alex Marinier, 46 and 2. How about that? Fill it up on 107 shots. The dude is filling it up at a percentage that's insane. Nearly 50% shooting the rock. Like awesome stuff. So, I mean, matchups to watch. Whew, I don't even know, man. I'm sticking with that Bobby Van Buren versus Chris Kavanaugh. Chris Kavanaugh is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder. He slid in the PLL draft. Now, does that actually matter to him? I think a little bit. I think as an athlete, you want, and a competitive dude, as competitive as Chris Kavanaugh is, he didn't love to see that, and he's got something to prove. And although Vegas has him favored, Notre Dame's coming in as the away team, and they felt disrespected. So I'm watching that matchup for sure. And to be honest with you, that's probably that. The other one I'm watching is probably the Ohio State offense versus the Notre Dame defense. And I know that's big picture and that's not specific, but like Notre Dame plays good D, 9 goals a game in the ACC. Ohio State's been filling it up. And it's not just one guy, they share the rock. So how does Notre Dame handle not just shutting down one item? Those are the two things I'm looking at. I think the way Notre Dame wins is if Jake Taylor and Chris Kavanaugh have a combined 12 points like they did against Duke when they won back on March 29th. And I know that's a long time ago, but they beat Duke 14-7, a great defensive team. Beat them 14-7. Jake Taylor was 5-2. Chris Kavanaugh was 1-4. You're going to need that type of production from your best dudes to win this game. To have a chance, in my opinion. Have a chance. Because you're outclassed in the goal. All right. I think you're going to have, hopefully, the face-off advantage. All right. You're going to have your dudes show up offensively and score the rock because everything else is pretty even. Now, that was March 29th. Okay, that was March 29th. You went 12. You won. You lost to Cuse 14-9. After that, you beat Virginia 12-7. Notre Dame did. You beat North Carolina 12-6. You snuck by Penn. You needed a 7-goal third quarter to sneak by Penn 10-8. Like you're not firing on all cylinders here. And you need your dudes to show up. So that's what I'm looking for. Notre Dame wins if Jake Taylor and Chris Kavanaugh can combine for 12 points. All right, predictions. We're getting long in the tooth here. I'm taking Ohio State 14-10. They cover the 1.5 and win the money line where they're plus money. I'm also about to bet the over at 22 right now. Like that seems way too low. The first one? 10-9. 10-9, Ohio State won. Back on March 8th. Moving on, Sunday 2:30. This is going to be a long weekend, just like this fucking podcast. Maryland, Air Force, Sunday 2:30, College Park. Vegas has Maryland as the largest favorites of the weekend at 9.5 goal favorites. Over-under set at 21. Another one that's interesting over-wise. If they cover the 9.5, it's probably going over. But Maryland, Air Force, we could probably be quick here. Air Force, great story. Obviously, good win over Robert Morris. Air Force is going to be outmatched, going to have to play on short rest. Tillman should have May renamed after him. Maryland's coming with a chip on their shoulder, losing in the Big Ten championship game. I don't care how buddy Coach Tills was with Coach Myers after that Big Ten championship game. Maryland's got one focus, and it's to play on Memorial Day weekend. I think we can be quick here. I mean, Maryland's the better team. I think they clear the ball really well. They face off at 50%. They're going to be better there because Air Force doesn't face off well. It's Maryland doesn't score. Like, which offense are we going to get? But I think against this Air Force defense, Air Force's goalie played well against RMU, but this is a totally different beast. I mean, matchups to watch. Obviously, can West Peen do anything for the Air Force midfield against Maryland's defense? Sure. I don't see it. I mean, you got any other matchups that you're looking for? I think we can be quick here. Air Force wins if they've got a banner day offensively and their netminder has 27 saves. Maryland wins if they show up and tie their cleats. I don't want to be disrespectful, but this is Maryland's game to lose for sure. My prediction: Terps 15-6. Nice. So we both got the Air Force fellas covering. All right, on to the next marquee matchup. We talked about Duke Georgetown. If you like defense, you watch Georgetown Duke. If you're only going to watch one game and you like offense, you're going to watch Harvard Cuse. All right, Harvard 10-4, visiting the JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York, Sunday at 5:00 against the Syracuse Orange 11-5. Vegas has Cuse as -3 favorites, and the over/under is set at 26.5. Syracuse was 2-2 in the ACC. They lose that last ACC game of the year to drop to 2-2 and make them the 4 seed, end up winning the ACC. Harvard was 4-2 in the Ivy League, lost in the semifinals to Princeton at Cornell. This game is going to be goals on goals on goals, in my opinion. Both teams can fill it up. Harvard's averaging 14 goals a game. Cuse is averaging 13.6. Harvard giving up 12 goals a game. 11.93. Cuse giving up 9.5. In the ACC, again, sub 10 is a great number. Cuse certainly has the advantage in goal. You've got the Graham Stevens kid for Harvard, a freshman. Cuse, you got Jimmy McCool, ACC Goalie of the Year. I think one of the big differences, and Harvard's going to have to lean on this because of their face-off disadvantage, but Harvard rides the ball really well. Harvard's riding teams back at over 25%. They're going to have to find ways to manufacture possessions / keep the ball out of protect their defense in a variety of ways. 1, through the ride, and 2, through the way that they play offense. I think the biggest discrepancy, and obviously in the last game we've already touched on it, the face-off X. What does Harvard do at the face-off X to counteract John Mullen and those wings for Syracuse, right? Yeah, they found a way to do it in the last game, okay, by outscoring them 16-15. But John Mullen, 28 for 31 this time of year, that's going to win you a ball game. That's going to win you a ball game, period. End of story. I don't care. And you got Finn Thompson back. Finn Thompson was 5-1. Sam English was 3-0 in that last game. And again, this was all in a freaking loss, which is insane. 15-14. Like, that's insane. Now, I also say Teddy Malone had a day for Harvard in that game. He was 4-1 that day. Like, Teddy Malone, I don't think has gone 4-1 since. But he quietly does his job. Miles Bodkis, shout out the West Coast Stars and the Torrey Pines Falcons. He was 2-2 that day. He's been steady Eddie in the midfield. Logan Ip, steady Eddie for the Harvard boys. Jack Spidell was only 1-2 in that Syracuse game. I think he has turned up his level late in the year. Sam King obviously got drafted. He was only 2-1, and Harvard still found ways to score 15 goals. Super balanced are the Crimson. Nobody cares who scores on that team. They just put the ball in the net, which I think is interesting. But this is going to be an offensive battle. Harvard's going to have to find ways to muck it up at the face-off X. I don't know if they can. John Mullen's going to have to continue to dominate. But the matchups to watch, in my opinion, are going to be the face-off X. I'll let you talk about that. But also, can Harvard's defense just buck up and hang on? Can they find a way to get a few stops against a really, really, really talented Syracuse offense? Now, this might be a good offense for them to go up against because they don't have to. Syracuse isn't going to like blow by you and shake you all over the place. They beat you with ball movement. They beat you with skill. So can Harvard find a way where they don't have to slide and recover a ton and just be great in their principles off ball? I'm not sure. I mean, I will say, as much as Harvard's given up goals, right? What we say? They're giving up 11.93 goals a game. They just held a really good Princeton offense to 11 goals. They held Colin Burns to 2 assists, Nate Kabiri to 1-1, Chad Palumbo to 1-0, and Mackesy 91 2-0. Like two for 10 shooting for Mackesy. Like they've got it in them, which is scary if you're Syracuse. That is scary. If Harvard's defense can find a way to get stops, their offense is gonna. They share the rock, man. They spin it all around. They spin it all around. That's a scary thing for me. So, I mean, as far as a matchup to watch, you're obviously going to watch the Face-Off X because John Mullen is dominant compared to Harvard. Can he do that again? You're going to watch, in my opinion, Harvard's defense against Syracuse's offense, right? You're going to watch the Colin Mulch, you're going to watch the Martin Nelson, Logan Darren, and Charlie Mueller for Harvard, that close D. How do they stack up against this Cuse defense? Who guards Joey Spallina, as you said? How do they guard him? Do they play him at X? Do they not? How do you handle Finn Thompson off the ball? Who do you pull in the midfield? Is it Michael Leo? Is it Sam English? Is it Luke Roa? Like, those are three dudes on that first midfield line that earn pulls. They deserve them. So it'll be really that's what I'm going to watch is what can Harvard's defense do against Syracuse's offense and what happens at the face-off X. But, I mean, you and I both know there's no place like Dome. And playing at home for the Syracuse Orange is just comfortable. It's a great place to be. Now, granted, they lost to Harvard 15-14 earlier this year. So, in the Dome. You got a matchup you're watching? Insanity that he hasn't come up yet. It's just because he just does it. He just quietly does his job. And I'm going to go out on a limb. He's got the best lefty stroke in the country in college right now. It is so sexy to watch that dude throw a lacrosse ball, shoot a lacrosse ball. I know that sounds weird, but I'm a goaltender myself, so I'm allowed to be a touch weird. Yeah, I'm with you. And to be honest with you, I want to give some shout-outs to the Tyler Cordes kid. Tyler Cordes, the Cuse, yes, they've got high-end stuff, but that second midfield line, you already mentioned them, Hoddle and Cordes, and if they run Trey Deer out there, do they run Peyton Anderson out there? Both Trey Deer and Peyton Anderson filled in for filled in for Finn Thompson when he's out for injury. Now they're playing on that second midfield line. Like, they've got depth too, which is awesome. And, Billy Dwan's going to try to score a goal. Defensively for Cuse, they're finding ways. Carter Rice, great defensive midfielder. I personally think he gets a little too much hype, but he's done his job. Like, this is going to be a fun game to watch Sunday at 5 o'clock. Cuse wins if they can hold Harvard to 12. I think they can win if they get to 13 or 14, but I think if they hold Harvard to 12 goals, Cuse wins this game. And I mean, I think a cover is crazy. I think 3, and I love what the Cuse are doing, but I think 3 is a giant number for this game. Personally, I like the Crimson to cover, but I think Cuse wins if they can hold them to 12. Jimmy McCool does his thing. Defensively, they match up. They win a shit ton of faceoffs. That's part of holding them to 12 because they've got a ton of possessions, ton of extra possessions. I think the other piece too, like I said, Harvard rides the ball back at about 25% almost, at over 25%. Can Cuse clear the ball? Can they be fundamental and clear the rock? And that's part of holding teams to a lower number defensively because you're not giving them those extra possessions. But my prediction, I think this game's going to be a ton of fun to watch. The Dome's going to be rocking. Cuse wins 17-16. I mean, bro, you're talking about the ACC goalie of the year. How about that? That's a great day. We'll take a 20 burger anytime we can get it. All right, so there's your predictions for Cuse, Harvard. Like I said, if you love offense, watch those games. Personally, Watch Hiltzy shoot the rock. Watch Joey Spallina operate at X and the way that he can dissect the defense. I know that kid takes a lot of heat because he's wearing 22, but his IQ is awesome. Watch Sam English in the middle of the field. Watch Harvard as a collective offensive unit, the way they share the ball. Teddy Malone is a quiet operator back there. Jack Spidell is an awesome off-ball guy, and then Sam King is a dude that can do it in a variety of different ways. And if you're an attackman, watch Sam King ride his tail off. Shout out Coach Kerwick. I know what Georgetown calls it this because the Kerwick and Urich connection, but Rhino ride your nuts off. Like that guy just effort everywhere on the field. So I think this is going to be a fun one to watch on Sunday at 5:00. Kicking it into our last one, and I think again we can be quick here. Albany 10-8, coming off their win at Siena, playing the Cornell Big Red 14-1. Sunday 7:30, Ithaca, New York, Sholkoff Field. Vegas has Cornell as 8.5 goal favorites, over under at 26.5. Albany 4-2 in the America East. They were a 2 seed, I believe, in the America East. Ended up winning it over Bryant, the host, the number 1, and then beating Siena in the opening round. Cornell 6-0 in the Ivy League, winning the Ivy League title, going on a 10-goal run to end the game. Princeton put one in garbage time to win. I believe it was 15-10, something like that. Again, I think the Great Danes are overmatched here. Cornell leading the country at 16.47 goals per game. This is an upstate battle. I mean, you get flashbacks of Blaise Reardon running down the field at Sholkoff, scoring a left-handed goal from his net-minding position. But I don't think today is going to be the day that Albany can recreate that personally. Albany, obviously the Silas kid, Silas Richmond, 87 points on the year, 41-46. It's going to be a tall ask, man. It's going to be a tall ask for the Great Danes. But I don't mean to gloss over this one, but it should be a time for the Big Red to sort of assert their dominance. Somebody asked me earlier this year, like, what's it going to take to beat Cornell? And honestly, I think you have to score 18 goals. And I just don't know if Albany can score 18 on this team. The future Towertown winner. I mean, can we save a little budget or / not? I mean, I want to give the guys that are in their opportunity to be at the Towertown dinner, but they're basically just there to cheer on CJ when he gets the award. But and for the listeners, the other guy, so the Towertown finalists are CJ Kirst, Coulter Mackesy, Sam King of Harvard, Chris Kavanaugh, Notre Dame, and his name escapes me. Jackson Eicher of Army. Yeah, I mean, like you said, from the points thing, and sorry to cut you off, Jackson Eicher's second in the country in points per game. If we're just looking at Towertown finalists, points per game, and can we just call it the best offensive player? Like, when are we going to give Bobby Van Buren a shot at that thing? But that's neither here nor there. CJ Kerr, 6.5 points per game. Jackson Eicher, 6.07 points per game. Next, you've got Chris Kavanaugh in 10th at 4.67 points per game. Sam King just behind him at 11th at 4.57 points per game. And who am I missing is the last one, because that's 4. The last one's Mackesy, and you're saying he was 40th? 41st points per game. He's got 55 points on the year, 40 goals, 15 assists for 3.67. Yeah, that's really interesting when you look at it that way. Yeah, no, I think that's going to be I hope we, you know how we get the Heisman voting second place? I hope we get that breakdown. I hope Big Lacrosse, Big Media gives us the breakdown of all their votes. Next year, NMP will get a vote. We'll find a way. But back to Cornell Albany. I don't think we need to look at keys to victory here. I think a lot would have to go wrong for the Big Red for them not to come away with this one. I think they cover too. Just the way that they score the ball, man. The way that this offense moves the rock is impeccable. I can't find enough adjectives to describe it. It's unbelievable. So, my prediction is Cornell 21-9. All right. Well, that's an absolute doozy of a breakdown of all 8 games. I'm guessing we'll be talking more about Cornell and Princeton since we glossed over them a little bit, given the games that they're playing. Hopefully next week on the episode. But appreciate everybody sticking along for this. Coach Bulkin, I appreciate you sticking around for a late night on a Thursday. Unfortunately, in closing for this week, we got to end this show with some condolences. There were 2 families in lacrosse communities that lost young men much too early this week. Nothing Near Post certainly sends their deepest condolences to the Veselic family and the Bay Village lacrosse community, as well as the Bosworth family and the Massaponax lacrosse community for their losses. 2 young men just taken from us much too early. That lacrosse was a big part of their lives. So thoughts and prayers to those families for sure. But sucks to end on that note, but you know the drill. Rule number 1 must be adhered to this weekend now that we are in tournament play. And that rule number 1, Coach Bulkin? Oh, it's exactly that. Nothing near post.